This is no ordinary war. The Cadence corrupts our lands, attacks our people without warning, has completely surrounded our nation. There is no escape.
But that was before you.
We're at a very crowded mix here at GDC, and we caught up with Brad Muir here from Double Fine to tell us a little bit about a project called Massive Chalice. Now, where is the game right now at this moment? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So we kickstarted it in like 2013, and we just put it out into early access right at the end of the year, last year. So we've got a few more months, but the game is it's like 95% complete. We're just porting it to the console, we're balancing it, we're tuning it, and getting controller support in there. So we're really close, actually, just a couple months away from having a full 1.0 release.
So what's the elevator pitch, if you will? What's the basis of it?
Yeah, I like that. So Massive Chalice is a tactical strategy game set on an epic timeline. So as the player, you take on the role of this immortal ruler that's helping this nation battle this mysterious force called the Cadence. So what you're going to do is control these heroes on small tactical battlefields. You'll be controlling about 5 heroes, like human scale combat. But then in between the battles take place about every 10 years. They take place 10 years apart. And so the hook of the game is that your heroes are going to age over the course of, as time is flowing in between those battles, they're all going to age and then eventually grow old and pass away. So what you have to do is make these strategic arranged marriages between your heroes, retire them from combat, and then while the time is flowing, it's kind of like a simulation that's running, they'll have a chance to have children, and then those children will grow up to be your warriors in the next generation. So it's it draws on a lot of other tactical strategy games like XCOM and Final Fantasy Tactics and Fire Emblem and stuff. But this is our big twist, is that it's all about these characters that grow old and die, and so you really need to be managing their ages, and their fertility drops off as they get older, so you need to keep an eye on that. And then also every hero has genetic code under the hood. They all have their own little kind of genetic thing, and that will express itself in different traits. Oh, this character is very fast, and this one's very strong, and this one's very stupid. And so those things will affect the either the tactical or the strategic gameplay. So there's a lot of things to be juggling there, trying to use the best characters for the best roles. But then also when you marry the heroes together, the kids will take some of the genetics from the mother and some of the genetics from the father, and then they'll grow up and be the fighters in the next thing. So you need to be making matches that are really intelligent to make sure that you're maximizing that part of the game.
So I suppose it's sort of the same decision as you'd have in any game where you create your character. It's do you want him to be balanced, or do you want to sort of make him overpowered in one area, or is that?
Sure, it is similar to that, except you don't really have control over that. It's when you start the game, we just roll a bunch of random characters to be your starting group of heroes, and then you make the best marriages you can. And most characters have pluses and minuses, but it is totally random. So sometimes you'll end up with somebody who's just got just the worst traits. They're slow and they're dumb, and they're weak, and they're just you're just oh. And then the flip side happens as well, where you end up with somebody that's very strong and smart and fast, and you're awesome. But just in real life, sometimes talent skips a generation. We have recessive genes in there, and sometimes you'll make a great match, and then the kids just will not really end up as you hoped. But sometimes that maybe they're holding the greatness that their parents had, and then in the next generation it might come back. So it's it's cool that it's very hidden away from you. You can't actually see their genetic code, but I think it's one of the most interesting, exciting parts of the game, because there is a system going in there. It's no bullshit. It's just we're actually doing very simple high school biology style genetics on the characters, and it feels like it. When you play it, it's when you marry 2 characters together and they're both fast. They're kids. Most of them are probably going to be fast, just because that's what the math says, And it's cool that it's that's really just how the game works. There's a lot of randomness in the game, and there's a lot of there's just tons of randomness and lots of dice rolling in the background and stuff, and you just kind of have to roll with it. Sometimes good things happen, sometimes bad things happen. It's a very mechanics driven kind of open-ended type game, and you just kind of have to roll with what it gives you.
So how do you sort of balance that with the challenge that you present the player with? Because obviously you can't know exactly what kind of setup of a group you'll have.
It's really hard. For the most part, we've just been kind of like hands off with it. You know, it's like we just sort of did our best to get it in the ballpark. But for sure, like there are times where just really bad things can stack up and you can just end up sort of spiraling into this unwinnable state and you just kind of have to start the whole game over. And it's like not a short game. It's like about 20 hours for a playthrough. And there are some times like you make some bad decisions combined with some bad randomness and like you can really get yourself in a bad spot. But I think one of the things that's amazingly self-correcting about the design is that all the characters are destined to pass away. So if you lose some in combat, it's not as big a deal as it would be in another game. Those characters are going to die in a few years anyway, and maybe that guy that you were fighting with, or that you know you were fighting with this older woman, and she was 65. She wasn't even going to live to the next battle anyway. So the fact that you lost her in combat is like not such a big deal, and you can recover from that because you're going to have her descendants. And also, I like that it creates an awesome like kind of like emergent narrative nugget there, where like grandma died, but like her grandchild is like coming back to avenge her, and that like feels really, really good because it's not fake. It's not. I didn't do that. I didn't design that. It's like I didn't like write that or script it. It's a moment that happens just organically, like emergently from just playing the game. You're just like, oh crap, like I remember this character's grandma like died, and it's awesome. It's just like creates its own sort of little like narrative piece that you get to experience, and it's just awesome. Like when it all sort of comes together like that, I think it feels really good, and it's super exciting when it does.
So that sort of is also like an metaphor for perhaps the whole journey with the game. Started out as one of those Amnesia Fortnite titles, right? Or
this one actually didn't. This one actually did not. It's like almost every game we've done recently has started out as one of those Amnesia Fortnite pitches. Yeah, this one did not. I think it was just a weird timing issue, It was like, I was trying to pitch this other game called Brazen. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but it was kind of like a Ray Harryhausen meets Monster Hunter kind of thing, and I was, we were really trying to get that thing signed, and that one did come out of an Amnesia Fortnite, one of our internal ones, but we'd had a hard time signing that one. It was too big, really. It was just kind of like a gigantic game the way that I was envisioning it, and it just wasn't. We couldn't find anybody that was willing to give us that much money to make it, which was unfortunate. But then coming off of that, just Tim, he really trusted me as like a project leader, and he really wanted us to get away from publishers, especially having that bad experience. Like just going through and just, I pitched that game for about a year and just really couldn't find any traction on it. And we had such success with the Broken Age Kickstarter that he was just like, yeah, what else you got, Like, do you have any brand new ideas? And I'd been kind of sitting on this one. And I was like, yeah, what about this? And he totally hated it. His first take on it, he was just like, what? No. And then he went away and thought about it for a few days. And he was like, you know what? I think that would actually work. Just because it is a pretty big departure from like the kind of games that we've made in the past. But I think it was just, he just trusted me that it would, that people would respond well to it and stuff. And especially like one of the things I love about Tim is that you look at our catalog of games, especially the ones that are not made by him, and it's like he just trusts people. He just like if this is what you want to make, that's what Double Fine should be making, And so when people get inspired by things like a tactical strategy game, whatever, he's like willing to give them a shot and like let them run with it. And that's been really awesome for like my career, a lot of other people, at the studio. It's just really cool that, there's no like, we're not making like the 6th version of a first-person shooter or something. We're like, we just keep trying new stuff, and I think that's really awesome. Does that answer the question?
I think it did.
I was kind of rambling all over the place. Sorry.
I don't even know if I asked a question. I was just like, just making a statement.
It's just word salad. It's just word salad, I guess. I don't know.
All right, so 5% remaining. That's what you said. When about do you think you'll have it out?
Probably, I would say around May or June is probably when we'll have it. We'll put a bow on it and, 1.0 launch it out there. But we've got a lot of really good feedback from the people, like the backers are playing it now, and people are playing it out in early access and stuff, and that's been really useful, like getting people's feedback on the forums, and really it's, we've had so much feedback throughout the whole process. Like it's been really cool to sort of like go through the Kickstarter process and have people, like there are people on the forums that like they posted the very first day, It's like there's this guy smiles, posts all the time. It's super awesome. Like, he's also, the thing I love about him, he's super supportive and positive about stuff, you know? It's like there's so much internet snarky hatred out there, and it's just, it's the people that actively go against that I really, really like. It means a lot to me. It really like sticks out, you know? So like seeing that stuff and having these people that have been with us the whole time, and now they're like playing the game and giving us feedback, it's really awesome. It's super cool.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.